Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on the June edition of the Redwood Real Estate Report. I'm Ben Larson with Larson Home Loans.
And I'm Annalise von Borstel with Hyperion Humboldt Realty.
And here we are in our fourth edition of the Redwood Real Estate Report?
Number four.
And again, you can find us on YouTube, The Ben Larson Show. There's several series now of the Redwood Real Estate Report. You can find it on larsonhomeloans.com under the podcast tab. And Annalise, you have additional resources?
Well, I'll put it out. Yeah, I'll put it out on my social media, and we'll post it on our YouTube page for Hyperion Humboldt. And you can also find that on our website, hyperionhumboldt.com.
All right, sounds great. And what else do we want our viewers to know?
Well, before we get into our keys of the month, Ben, you have some big news that I think our community should know about. You want to share what happened this last week?
Yeah, since you put me on the spot, my partner and I had a baby on May 26th. We welcome Leah Larson into the world, a baby girl, a Larson baby girl. Those of you who know my family no, that's a big deal. We haven't had a girl in 2 generations in my family. So everyone's really excited and looking forward to, seeing her grow.
That's so sweet. Welcome, Leah.
Yeah. So thanks for that, Annalise.
Yeah. So I guess from here we can jump into the keys. Do you want to go first or should I?
Sure. I'll jump right in. Market keys of the month. If you could see the behind the scenes cuts on this, you would laugh. All right. So kicking off Redwood Real Estate Report, June, market keys of the month, which are essentially going to be our statistics for the month of May. As usual, I'll kick it off with interest rates. Interest rates have been on the rise, but oh wait, they finished the month declining. So on May 1st, we kicked off the month at 6.76%. That's your average national rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. We compare that to, I like to do a month over month comparison. So compare that to April 1st, 2025, which was 6.71. So nearly flat for that 30-day month over month. And then also, side note, the rates on one were the low for the month. So it was only up from there, but teaser, there is a slight decline coming at the end of the month. On May 21st, 2025 was the peak that rates hit, and that was at 7.08%. You compare that to the peak in April, which was on the 11th at 7.07. Now we closed out the month of May at 6.95%. Comparing that to the high of April was 7.07. So the peak for April and May were essentially 1/100% off. So very similar peaks, very similar lows. And just to give today's rate, we're recording on June 4th, 6.87 currently today. So we hit our peak on May 21st, 7.08. And then we've pretty much been on a steady decline since then, down to 6.87. Moving on to my second key of the month. It's been more of the same on the rate front, as I just went over. The Fed has kept their target rates the same since December of 2024. So there hasn't been any major movement from the Fed, which has led to our stable rate environment over the last, really through the course of this year, which not a lot of people expected that. A lot of the market experts or publications were saying there's going to be a lot of volatility, hopefully some decline. It's really, when you look at the volatility between month to month, there's been some, as much as 0.5%, but overall, it's been pretty steady, pretty consistent. I mean, we've been hovering between 6 5/8 and 7 1/8 all year, pretty much. So that's our second key of the month, is really the stability of rates this year. Then the Fed's trying to find a balance between employment and stable prices. We've certainly found the stability in prices. We're not seeing the huge inflation numbers that we saw last year and half of the year before that. And employment numbers have been pretty steady and consistent. Unfortunately, that's led to a stable rate environment, which in the real estate world, that's not what we're looking for, because we want to see a declining rate environment. For the overall economy and country, maybe that's a good thing, but it hasn't created a peak for the real estate market in 2025 that we've seen. And then we go on to app volume, my third market key that I usually hit. We've seen a steady decline, actually, in market volume or application volume. And again, this is nationally, so there aren't local numbers available. Me personally speaking, I would say in the last 30 to 45 days, I've probably seen more interest than I've seen previously. So I think locally, again, we're a micro market that's pretty unique. We're seeing some decent activity over the last couple months, especially. I'm still pretty optimistic, really a pretty stable, reliable market here in Humboldt County as far as the real estate world goes. And if the last couple months are any indicator, I think the remainder of our year should proceed to be strong.
Sounds
All right.
good.
Those are my market keys of the month.
All right. Well, I'll get into mine then, starting with Humboldt County as a whole in real estate sales figures. So median list price is completely flat year to date compared with last year. We're at 450,000 year to date, and that's exactly where we were at last year. Median sales price is up 1.75% to 420. So median list price versus sales price is also reflected in the sold to list ratio, which last month, the month of May, was at 95%. And that sold to list ratio has been trending up since February, where it hit a low of 88.5%. So sellers should be happy that they're pricing their homes more appropriately for the buyer activity out there. Total sales are up 5% for the year in Humboldt, so that reflects your experience with app volume going up as well. But total listings are up 16% as well.
Yeah.
So buyers have a lot to look at. And the absorption rate for May was up to 6.34 months. But that's not actually very far from where it was the same time last year, so nothing to be alarmed about there, although that is technically a buyer's market. But last July, the absorption rate reached a little over 6.4 months. Average days on the market has been trending down for the last couple of months. It was 85 in March, 69 in April, and now it's down to 50 for the month of May. So this is the real estate season we're getting into, so things are moving a little bit more quickly, to be expected. And now as schools start letting out, we're hoping to see even more movement on that front. But point is, don't take anything for granted, right? Realtors need to be staying nimble right now in this market so they can help their clients strategize during what could be a very opportune time.
Absolutely, an opportune time. We'll hit more on that later.
Okay. Yeah, so another interesting statistic is that despite the median prices being completely flat for the year at 450,000, there's been a 50% increase in sales of homes over 700,000, which is about 11.5% of the total market share, compared with 8% of the total market share last year. And there's been a 150% increase in the sales of homes over $1 million, which is about a 4.5% market share this year versus a 1.8% market share last year. So of that 5% increase in total sales for this year, a disproportionate amount are in that high value home. There's a 4% decrease in homes sold under 300,000, but the biggest chunk of homes sold in Humboldt are in the 300 to 500 range, and that represents 47% of our market share, which was the exact same percentage last year as well. Eureka inventory is up nearly 50% from May of last year and about 20% year to date. And despite that added inventory, the absorption rate is still under 5 months in Eureka, so still technically a seller's market, but trending towards a more balanced and possibly going to flip to a buyer's market. We shall see. Market share for the month of May, we had 100 sales in all of Humboldt for the month of May. 25% were in Eureka, 17% in McKinleyville, 10% in Arcata, 9% in Fortuna. Scotia Rio Dell had 7% of the market, Blue Lake 4%, and then the rest, 28%, were in other Humboldt communities. Median sale prices for May in Eureka was $420. McKinleyville, $592,500, Arcata, $480,000, Tuna, $495,000.
So one thing that stood out to me there that you mentioned was the absorption rate over 6 months. Because last month, wasn't it like, it was like 3.5 or it was significantly lower than that?
I don't think for all of Humboldt that it would have been 3.5.
Okay.
That doesn't ring true. I can look back at the data, but there's definitely been a big leap in Eureka absorption rates between last month and this month, which is why I think
A leap meaning
from
further
about
out.
3.5%
Yeah.
to 5
Okay.
months.
That
And
makes
then
sense.
I would not be surprised given that leap and the amount of inventory that seems to be coming on the market right now. Unless buyers, if interest rates do end up going down and buyers really start jumping on these opportunities, I wouldn't be too surprised to see it move into either a balanced market or flipping into a buyer's market.
Interesting.
For Eureka.
Yeah.
And then also remember some of these numbers, listen carefully when I'm talking about month versus year to date.
Right.
Those can be different too. We're talking about trends versus a point in time.
Sure. Yeah, that's important. Yeah, important to point out. And again, with these statistics, there's so many micro markets within the Humboldt market, and the Humboldt market is a micro market when you compare it nationally or to the state or any level, really. There's one thing that makes the statistics in Humboldt so interesting to look at is there can be so much variation month to month, but that's why it's important to look at year over year, month over month, year to dates versus just a snapshot in time, because it really doesn't give you any context to what that number means. Like we've talked about in Arcata in past months, you have a couple sales in the $800,000 or $900,000 range or $1 million range, and that can inflate your average sale price 27, 37%, when that could be an outlier. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily indicative of what the annual average price would be. That's just one example, but there's a lot of them like that.
Yeah, you can paint a picture a number of different ways using statistics. So it's important that you are working with a trusted realtor and lender to really understand your unique situation, whether you're a buyer looking at a particular neighborhood or a seller trying to understand how your home compares. And not only to past comparables, but also to where the market is trending.
Right. And I can't think of any two people who know this market better than myself or you, Annalise. And I'm sure Hyperion Humboldt Realty, in its beginning has nothing but a bright future ahead of itself. And
we're about to celebrate our 1-year anniversary, actually.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Up in July. Thank you. You too, though, right?
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. So Larson Home Loans, we were born around the same time as little baby Leah is just after us. But yeah, so it's a really exciting time to be in real estate in Humboldt County, and couldn't be happier to be on this journey sitting next to you at this table.
Well, speaking of exciting times, there's a lot going on in the community this time of year, too.
Well, as we go into summer, we know the summer months in Humboldt County, the tourism really picks up, the weather gets really nice. We've had some incredible weather the last couple weeks. And everyone starts kind of coming out of their shell in Humboldt County, soak up some of that sun, get some vitamin D, and, enjoy all the outdoor wonderful things this community has to offer. And Annalise, why don't you kick it off with, what you want to point out this month?
Okay, well, you mentioned
There's a lot of things to talk about.
Coming out of our shell. Well, let's start talking about Oysterfest, which is June 14th this year on the Arcata Plaza. This is a free event, family-friendly, and it's just a good time to get out into the sunshine on the plaza, eat some great, fresh, local oysters. And there's other food vendors there, other retail vendors, and just celebrating our local delicacy of the oyster.
Yeah, it's really become a Humboldt County tradition, right? People, whether you're from here or you moved here for college and stayed in the area, people's families come from out of the area this weekend, or that weekend in particular, to enjoy Oysterfest. Rumor has it there's going to be more oyster vendors than there was the year before. The public has spoken, I guess, and
we love oysters.
And the Boyd of Oysterfest listened, and we want more oysters, right? So there's going to be some more this year, and of course all the good beers and other food vendors and arts and crafts and things like that. So it's a really good time. Get out, family friendly, free event. So get out and enjoy Oysterfest on June 14th on the Arcata Plaza from 10 to 5.
Didn't May compete in the Oysterfest last year?
Oh, that's right. How could I forget? May won. Leah's mom, my partner, she won Best Raw Oyster and Best Presentation last year. Unfortunately, due to the proximity of the baby being born, this year we're not competing in the oyster contest, but we'll be there. We'll be walking around, and I think that might be one of baby Leah's first public outings. So
fun. It's a good one.
Yeah. So we'll be out there. We'll be trying everyone else's local oysters, and really look forward to it this year. Hope it's good weather.
All right, so what else is going on?
Well, we got the Friday Night Market kicking off in Old Town Eureka. That, to me, has become really the signature event for, if not the city of Eureka, the county, every Friday, starting the first weekend of June through usually August. That the end date is somewhat flexible depending on the organization's agreement with the city. They can usually extend it a couple weeks, but it at least goes through August. Every Friday night, it goes from typically 5 to 7-ish. You can go a little late, but you can go get...
Yeah, I think it goes late. I think it goes till 9.
Well, no.
No?
It doesn't. I think they stopped. Last call for alcohol, I believe, is 7.
Okay.
But sometimes the food vendors will push it till 7:30 if they can. But they do try to shut us down.
That's just me hanging out.
Yeah,
later
that's
than
just you,
everybody
Annalise,
else.
party animal.
All right.
But no, Friday Night Market, Old Town Eureka. Get there, try some of the best Thai food in town at the Tasty Tiger. There's also shameless plug. There's lots of great food vendors out there. We just saw the map actually yesterday on a conference call, and we're placed next to a lot of the same vendors we were next to last year. They moved us all the way up by the gazebo this year.
Nice.
But I'm excited to get to see all those people again. It kind of becomes a family when you're there every Friday all through the summer. It's a lot of fun. There's live music, there's dancers, and every week is a different performer. So there's everything from fire dancers to local hip hop artists headlining the Friday Night Market.
Sweet. Yeah, and in addition to the food, there's great local artists as well.
Absolutely.
Makers, manufacturers who are selling their wares and showing off their stuff. So that's great. And speaking of local makers and artists, another thing happening this month is Open Studios, which is this weekend, the 5th through the 7th, as well as next weekend, the 14th and the 15th. And if you don't know about Open Studios, you should know that Humboldt County has the most artists per capita of any county in the United States. And these artists open up their creative spaces for these weekends, the Open Studios, for the public to come and see where they work, how they work, and what they have available for purchase and for appreciation.
Yeah, there's so many great local artists in this area. I recently got some art at the last Arts Alive event. I don't know if I should talk about it or not, but I think so. I recently bought Blake Reagan's Birds series. I love it. They're beautiful. So shout out to Blake. Yeah, they're really cool. I love them. Soon they'll be featured on the walls of my office. But
Blake's done a lot of the murals that you see around town.
He did the Speakeasy. He did the courthouse, the sky scene.
He's done some things at the
with Lucas
Jefferson
Thornton,
Community Center too.
Yeah. He's done a lot, and I'm proud to have a handful of his pieces in my possession now.
Right. One of my favorite local artists, Christina Anastasia, she's a jeweler, and she also works in some other mediums, but I have a great collection of her pieces.
Nice.
Definitely appreciate her as one of our local artists, one of many. We can't name them all, but if we could, we'd be here all day.
And I just want to point out a little inspirational quote that I heard, and that's those people, there's a lot of buyers that have been on the fence of making the decision, trying to time the market, right? You hear timing and location is everything. But what I want to say is the right property to buy, whether you're a first-time buyer or an investor, is the right property right now. So there's always opportunities in the market. So keep your nose to the ground. Keep your eyes on what's available. Listen for deals. Talk to your lender. Talk to your realtor, because we hear about a lot of things that are going on. And there's always an opportunity for you. It doesn't have to be where you see yourself in 10 or 15 years. That may not be the right property right now. That might be the right property 10 or 15 years from now. But if you're in a position to buy, it's a smart financial decision to find the right property right now.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, it's true that I think that a lot of buyers are looking for their dream home, their forever home, but it's also good to think about it from a financial investment perspective, that this is an investment. And right now, there are great opportunities out there.
There really are.
For buyers. You can, what do they say? Date the rate and marry the house.
That's right. Date the rate, marry the house.
You can always
That's
refinance, but prices are more likely going to be going up than down.
Right. The interest rate on your loan is not a long-term commitment. So even if you have a 30-year loan, your average loan is only less than 7 years now. So and in a high-rate environment, it's even lower than that.
And while your home appreciates, if it's not the perfect home, at least you're building equity to then leverage and find a better fit when the time comes.
Yeah, I mean, if your interest you're paying is less than the rent you're paying, The extra principal is like a forced savings account. And the equity you're gaining is savings on top of that. It's a multiplier to your net worth.
Yeah, so if you are a buyer and you are just feeling a little bit of the analysis paralysis and you're not sure what to do or how to take advantage of today's opportunities, reach out to your trusted realtor, your trusted lender. Feel free to reach out to us, and we can help give you some guidance and maybe help clear some of that fog so you can move forward with one of the biggest investments you can make.
Well said. And with that, I think we'll wrap it up.
Wait.
Oh, you got
Wait.
more. Oh, our monthly our listing of the month.
I have a featured listing. I'm really excited about this beautiful property that's coming available. It's 7119 London Drive. It is just under 5.5 acres. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath with a bonus room. And the home itself is lovely, but it's really the park-like setting that makes this property pop. And it is the views. It's at the top of Humboldt Hill, so you have a view of not only the South Bay and Table Bluff, but beyond that to the Pacific Ocean.
Wow.
It's stunning. The views are great. And then below the property, it includes a cleared meadow that is definitely large enough if somebody wanted to have horses.
Wow.
Or just a dream garden. Beautiful property. We're going to be listed at $885, and that is available this Friday, the 6th.
That sounds incredible.
It's a dream. It's a dream.
Wow.
So don't miss out.
I recently stayed at an Airbnb up on Pine Hill, and it had a view from up the Elk River Valley all the way to the Coast Guard House in Samoa. And even though I was just there for 10 days, it was tough to leave. There are some properties like that in Humboldt County. Our views are tough to beat.
Yeah.
And that one sounds
This is one of
really
them. You will
nice.
not
I
wanna
want to
leave.
check it out. When
Yeah.
that one's on the tour, let me know because I
Okay.
want to go.
Tuesday.
I'm there. So with that,
Yes.
all right,
We're ready.
It's time for real. That concludes our June Redwood Real Estate Report. I'm Ben Larson with Larson Home Loans.
And I'm Annalise von Borstel with Hyperion Humboldt Realty.
And again, you can find us on YouTube, The Ben Larson Show, Redwood Real Estate Report. You can find us on LarsonHomeLoans.com, podcast tab. And Annalise, where can we find us?
And you can also see this on HyperionHumboldt.com. And please, if there's statistics or information that you're interested in hearing about, questions, put it in the comments and we will talk about it next month. We want to hear from you.
And keep in mind the Ben Larson Show, my interview series. And I've been talking to a lot of interesting community people and hope to get some of those available to the community very soon. Thanks again. This is Ben Larson.
Annalise.
Signing off.